Well, Google collects more data than probably any other company and probably knows more about you than you do. You'd think this might raise some concerns about the concentration of power, but for years, Congress seems to have cared not at all, either because they were ideologically predisposed to Google or because they were in its pocket. Meanwhile, Google became more and more powerful, ominously powerful. Now, finally, during a lame duck session, Congress has summoned the CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai, to answer some questions about data transparency. Coming to Capitol Hill this week, what should Congress ask him about? Harmeet Dillon has followed this issue maybe more closely than any other attorney in the United States, and she joins us tonight. Harmeet, thank you very much for coming on. So what should be the list of questions?
Well, this is only a subset of the issues that people should be asking Google. That is the subject of the testimony tomorrow. But Google, for years, as you pointed out, has been collecting data and not disclosing to users, number one, the extent of the collection of the data or what they're doing with the data. We have also learned of significant breaches, including today an announcement of a major breach of 52.5 million users in the Google Plus failed experiment in social media. It's not clear when that happened. Google is not disclosing to people exactly what happened and what use has been made of it. And they, as you pointed out, they just get away with it because we have both effete politicians in Washington, even on the Republican side, and government agencies whose tasks it is to examine these issues and protect consumers. So consumers are really at a complete loss. Now, what I expect to happen on Capitol Hill tomorrow is that there'll be some posturing questions written by staffers that members of Congress are going to read out, and you're going to have some focus group tested, jargony, incomprehensible responses from Sundar Pichai designed to placate these folks. There'll be a little bit of a dance, and everybody will go home not understanding what the answers were and not probably going to do anything about it. And this is a real tragedy and missed opportunity, Tucker.
What a shame. I want to ask you about another story, another element of the Google story. Newly leaked emails show that several Google employees plotted to destroy the news site Breitbart after the 2016 election. A secret internal discussion group labeled Resist. Google employees discussed how they could use the, quote, hate speech and fake news labels to justify cutting off Breitbart's ad revenues. Harmeet, this is kind of the stuff of conservative fever dreams that Google would be actually doing something like this. Are you surprised by it, and what can be done in response?
Well, Google, A, I'm not surprised. B, Google is denying it, but there's extensive evidence that Google did this, and they did it in two ways. One way is right after the election, as you mentioned, a number of very excitable left-wing Google executives and employees tried to squeeze Breitbart and other conservative outlets into this hate speech category. They then confessed that after a lot of effort, that was really tough. So they also did a two-pronged approach, and the other side of that approach is having their ad people contact customers and tell them that it might be dangerous or a bad idea to advertise or allow their ads to be placed on conservative news websites like Breitbart and others. And they pointed to some outside groups like Sleeping Giant that makes it a business practice of defaming conservative writers and organizations and use that as a smear. Google also does this in many other ways, like through its YouTube. It categorizes content as sensitive, which automatically both makes it hard to find the content online and also strips that content from the ability to gain advertising revenue. So Google is doing this systematically. Google is doing this purposefully. Google is getting away with doing this, and I think it violates not just some laws, including Communications Decency Act and others, but it violates state laws that have to do with fraud and transparency, unfair business practices, and competition. Yeah. Again, Google is able to get away with this because they contribute to some conservative groups like CPAC, a lot of money to show up at CPAC, and certainly on Capitol Hill they get away with it, and we see nothing done to control this duopoly and monopoly on advertising revenue. It's very dangerous because it's shaping what young people in America who mainly get their news through Google see every day.
Looking back, the Congress allowing Google to become more powerful than the U.S. government, subverting our democracy entirely, that'll be the thing we hold members responsible for, I think, historically. Harmeet Dillon, you will not be held responsible since you're a lonely voice on the right side. Thank you for joining us, as always.
Thanks, Tucker.